All right, today is November 21st, 2025. And I have right here, hey, oh yeah, it's going, that's the bottom, and it goes up to the top. All right, that's the top of the mountain right there, because I'm gonna start writing on that thing. I got it all laid out. Hey, climb every mountain. Let's see, look at it this way. Climb every mountain, and the mountain is gonna go up. Okay, gonna go up and down, in the water. Climb every mountain and descend every sea. And look, and that's gonna be on my side, but I got all this over here. Hey. And I'm gonna say something else. And I have now, I got it almost, look. Okay. See, I got all the decking up there I need, and then I'm putting planks across there, so you can stand on that, like twist your ankle or fall into a little tiny hole. I mean, and so I just give you a little look, because actually I'm always kind of proud of my work, because the only thing it does is it proves you set your mind to something, you can do it. Look. Okay. And that big one I got at Lowe's at 50% off. That thing is like a 2x12. Look. It's a 2x12, and it's I think it's 12 foot long. I just got it laid up there. Look, hey. And so on this day, November 21st, 2025, I'm getting closer, man. I'm getting closer to a certain point of completion where I'm actually going to say something. And on this side right here, and I already showed you, I got at least 1, 2, 3.5 sheets of plywood down there. And I'm going to put those 3.5 sheets. Okay? All right. I'm going to put those things right across. Just hop over here. All right. All right. Well, I got to put in some more posts, and supports. And I'm going to say, climb every mountain and descend to the bottom of the sea. And that is because, and I think I can fit all that on there, and I can do it with, without, well, I was going to say making a bunch of noise, because I had to come in here and turn my fan off. But actually, that is what it is, without making a bunch of noise, all right? Climb every mountain and descend every sea. And I am more concentrated now on descend every sea, because I watched something called Military Archives, and I'm watching the second thing now that I've ever seen. I just come across this thing on YouTube, I guess the algorithm kind of directs you to things you might be interested in. So everything is fair game. But look, I served the government and discovered that Trump is the first, and I'm not sure what it's saying then, but yet. But this is coming from military archives, and look, they got WDC, which probably stands for Washington D.C. 5. That's probably Channel 5. They got WDGA 9. That probably stands for GA. Probably stands for Georgia 9, and WD. Both those say WD, but one is C5 and one is A9. GA9. They got a few of them that are GA9. Then they got something here from something like 3T something number 4. Who knows what that is, but the thing is, it doesn't say anything that altered content or anything like that. And I think if it's altered content, I think they have to put on their altered content. Like if it could be like from AI generated stuff now, they have to say altered content. But this is from 3 weeks ago. I haven't really gotten into it yet, but so I don't really know what they're saying that they discovered. I served the government and discovered that Trump is the first, and then you don't know what it's going to say. I can tell you, I already know what he is. But I know he is the first of something, because he is the first of a lot of things that I already know about, because I've been following. I've been tracking. And so, you know, I'm just going to put this up right here and actually make a note of something I think is very, very important. Because through this military archives channel here, I listened to what supposedly, and it probably was for real, all right? Didn't have any kind of disclosures saying that it wasn't, that this is not real or anything like that, so they could be sued if they didn't like say it was fake or just pure entertainment. No, it didn't have none of that kind of stuff. All right. That's the first thing that I look for if I want to look for actually if something is true or not. What kind of documentation it has. And this is coming from military archives, and once again, this is only like the second day that I ever actually even come into the purview of of my pervading military archives. I mean, looking at it, I only watched one video, and that video was about a guy that was in the military, and he was on a secret mission, and he only had like a year left to live, and he couldn't like die without actually saying this. Otherwise, he would have a guilty conscience. So he had to put this out there, okay? Because he's gonna die anyway. Because they already told him he only had like so many months to live, and he had cancer of the lungs, and so that was gonna take him out. And a lot of his comrades have already been taken out under the auspices of so-called suicide or other act of God kind of circumstances. And so, that being said, you know, it appears to me that I'm actually getting a first-hand account of a real thing that somebody saw. And I have no reason to believe it otherwise. And my kind of thing that I'm always like, you know, like sensitive to is the potential of being tricked by my own sentimental kind of soft kind of believing in the best in people regard. But the whole presidency of Donald Trump has already proved to me, which has been a lifelong lesson, and which I finally can write down and say that I understand this and that I know this to be true, that humanity cannot be trusted. And Donald Trump, has proven this to everybody. Okay, this is why he came into the presidency, and this is why all the Christians, were deceived by him. And this is why it is to prove so many things, okay, that even the best of people screw things up to the worst kind of situation ever possible. And the best people do that. Cole Wallace has this podcast called The Best People. And I actually kind of like to see her take, because that's what her concentration is on, the best people. But I'm here to tell you, all right, that there is one other thing that you got to consider, and that is the best people can also make the worst mistakes, because humanity cannot be trusted. And this is what the lesson is from, they say, this guy said that he went to the bottom of the ocean, and then all the electronic equipment got cut off, and these creatures down there, he said, could speak telepathically. And they put him into a dome that which was suitable for living conditions on Earth, and they were able to actually be exposed to another kind of civilization that these creatures of there's a commercial now on TV about eyeglasses, and this little character says, "Are you of alien origins?" or something like that, or species or something, and it's really funny, because some of the stuff is so far advanced that you have to ask that question: is this of alien kind of origin or something like that? And the thing is, I just wanted to mark this day down in particular because, in conjunction with my understandings and learnings and considerations of the deep, that I was also given thought to my granddaughter Arden, and that my first intuitional kind of revelation, for whatever that might mean, it could be my imagination or it could be real, time will tell. It was just completely some kind of far-fetched kind of thing, and that means the imagination is just stupid, or if it could actually be really true. And this is still up for debate, and in about 20 years you'll know the answer to this question. And I probably won't even be here in 20 years, but that's why I'm saying it now, so that in the future, because the thing is, I do believe, I actually believe that the ocean is the biggest cover-up, because they spend all that energy and everything going way farther away into the atmosphere that we can't even be close to or touch, which is outer space, okay? All the way to the moon. And then we do that, and we're even going to Mars now. Elon Musk and SpaceX, they want to establish like a colony on Mars now. And nobody is even talking about the bottom of the ocean, like as if so, because nobody has ever really went down there except for submarines that have really understood the amount of pressure that you need to be able to withstand going that far down deep. Well, they say on this thing on military archives that they went down into the, and now I remember, okay? Now I remember Fabio's wife's name because I seen it on this video. And that is also a synchronicity. Because her name was Mariana. And they're talking in this here military archives documentary or whatever it is. I don't know. It don't say that it's fake or anything. They're saying that this place is called the Mariana Trench. Okay. So see, that's a synchronicity, because I was thinking about, I couldn't remember her name. All right, but her name was Mariana. That's Fabio's wife, and she lived with me for a while, with Fabio and with Danubia and with Danielson. And Danielson might have been a bad actor, because down the road I did discover that there was some kind of problem, which I ain't gonna delve and go into all kinds of detail. I discovered this after the fact, you know. And he might have had some bad motivation, but that was only him. That wasn't Fabio and Mariana and Danubia. And whatever played out is what's going to be reckoned with on the longer front. Nothing happens, but I don't actually know everything about what happened or anything, but I do understand there was some foul play, and you know, every person is responsible for their own trail. Sometimes you gotta cut your own trail. Actually, it seems the way it was with me, and I do believe that's the way it is with my own children. And I know for a fact that everybody cuts their own trail. But when it comes to cutting your own trail, I kind of got this secret suspicion, man, that my granddaughter, Arden, is going to be cutting a trail, man. I don't know why. I just, like, I mean, granted, I could, you know, be, like, delusional and going crazy. But I don't think so. And although I do know that when that kind of stuff, you know, takes you, it takes you, you know, by surprise. And just like when you have a dog put down and the dog is going to sleep, all right, that he gets an injection and then he goes to sleep. And then after he goes to sleep, they give him another injection, and that injection stops his heart from beating. And they got a drug that can stop your heart from beating. But I think that it's so merciful that they give them the drug to go to sleep first, so they go unconscious, and then it just makes it so easy. And then they give them the second drug. I should know the name of it, because like, I think they give that drug to people that are doing like spy work. And if they have to, like, kill themselves and die real quick, you know, it's cyanide. I think it's cyanide. And I think if you take cyanide, you take that and put that in your stomach, all right, it spreads out, because it gets absorbed in your blood, and then it goes in your blood, and then it goes to your body, and it kills you. And I think people even know how to make cyanide. But it is a thing that they will even give to people that are in tight situations that they don't want to, that they know that if they're tortured and stuff, you know, they're going to spit out whatever it is that secrets that they know, and they got to just die with those secrets. And so they have the cyanide pill, so they just take it, and then they'll be dead like in a couple of minutes or less. And some kind of things that I do know for a fact, people will go on missions and they're classified. And they don't have any record of this. Nothing can be subpoenaed. All right. These are co-ops, dark ops, or whatever. They don't even exist in the paper trail. And that's the way it is. It's covered, and it's a because they understand, and this is what I kind of think that they kind of pointed out was the fact. Well, they didn't say this, but I understand, especially after the advent of Donald Trump, that humanity cannot be trusted as a group. There can be some individuals, okay, that are trustworthy and that can be trusted, all right? But then trusted with what? Because trusted with a secret? And how can you carry a secret? Because secrets are kind of like bullshit. Don't be being a public servant and having a secret. That's not a possibility. That's two opposite kind of things. But the military, okay, they don't trust, okay, even their own people, and they don't trust nobody, okay? And that comes from the spirit of Sun Tzu. There ain't nothing wrong with that either. But they're not going to divulge everything that they know. And they say already that, you know, the people, if you could tell this stuff to people, they'll go crazy. That people are so stupid. And some people think that people are more stupid than they are. Like the Trump regime, you know, they actually think, you know, like the propaganda and stuff they put out like on Fox News, they make it sound like real news and stuff like that. Like actually, like they're actually in part of a real discussion. And they're like just talking about shit mixed with apple butter. I mean, and it ain't even worth anything, okay? You want to mix a little bit of apple butter with a bunch of shit and then call it something that actually worth any while listening to? No. That's stuff that you kind of just like, you know, fertilize your garden with. And it ain't worth anything happening in your house, that's for sure. Unless you want to gather a bunch of flies. But I was thinking that my granddaughter, Arden, I sent my son a note that said I think she's gonna save the ocean because in these later years of my times in life of looking at things and stuff now, and haven't had a lot of time to rest with the way that things are and how things unfold. All right. I do believe that probably trying to get to Mars is like a lifeboat. I think that, you know, like this whole SpaceX kind of thing and everything, building colonies on Mars and stuff, you know, it's like an escape lifeboat, you know. But you don't want to escape to a lifeboat, man. You're still on the ocean water. You're probably going to be swallowed up, probably never make it to land on a lifeboat. It's not like you're going to have a compass or anything. It's like, you know, you just escaped with your bare skin and clothes on your back. I got on that lifeboat, and you better hope that a hurricane don't come, swallow you up, because it ain't going to take much. And plus, you can't drink all this salt water. You only got a few days. If you don't get fresh water, you're a goner. All right. It is true that they haven't really talked too much about, like, what's at the bottom of the ocean. And this guy from the military archives, he said that there were living forces with more technology than we got at the bottom of the ocean. And it seems to me that nothing could be more true, because I don't hear, in fact, that's why I'm looking now, like I'm seeing what's actually on the internet about deep sea exploration, because I want to find out actually. You know, it's kind of hard to believe, though, that at the bottom of the, and I have seen already in a little bit of short research that I've done, that they get big kind of creatures that come up from the bottom of the ocean. I'm talking about big things, and they have already dragged them up, and that's not even all the way at the bottom. But when you go to the very, very bottom, or wherever that this guy went to, he said no, that there's living forces down there. And I don't say living creatures, I say living forces, because they're really actually in charge. All right. And the challenge of this species here, of human species, is to actually be good enough that we will actually work with the creatures of the deep and be a unified force. Otherwise, they will exterminate us, because they're in control. And we can't hurt them, and they can't exterminate us. And they proved that. And that's what this whole thing was was about. I didn't watch the whole thing, but I got the idea. And from my experience in life, I can concede that nothing could be more possible. But I think my granddaughter Arden is going to be fighting for the waters. I don't know. I don't really know why I even think that, okay? It's like a sneaking suspicion. But I think, so I'm going to call this one sneaking suspicion, because I actually really think that the waters, and that's why, like, I have a lot of love and everything for the water. And because I learned a lot of stuff, from the water. Water has actually, proven, like, I didn't actually really even know the force of water actually itself. And I understand that water is just like, it's like nothing more than like a tongue inside of a person's mouth. I mean, the water is just like, actually kind of like a tongue in the mouth. You got the whole rest of the body of Earth. The water is actually just like a little kind of crevice, but when you understand the power of that, of water, and then okay, that was just my experience of kayaking. But then when you look at the ocean, and because I actually did see, like, I was in the Navy on John F. Kennedy aircraft carrier. Okay, during Desert Storm, Desert Shield, and I was out there, and I've seen big kind of storms, and the waves were so high that they were like way bigger than our ship. Okay, they were bigger than our ship, like towered way the heck over, and they rolled big and high. And then it come down and hit the deck of the ship, all right? But see, that ship has a hole that goes way down. Way down to anchor that thing, to keep it straight up. And, all right, those big waves, like, they couldn't push off. Like, everything was anchored down and tight, all right? Chained down. And even though a big wave can have a lot of pushing and hitting force, all right, it's just a still wave, and not steel, it's water. And we had things anchored down. They couldn't be blown off. But we always did man overboard drill. And I was part of the man overboard drill. And that's why when I had my dream of being pushed over to the deck, and lost at sea. Okay, that was because I knew very well about the man overboard drill. Because every time something would happen, okay, and we prepared for it all the time, man overboard drill to find out if there was anybody missing. And so I'm just saying that I have an appreciation for the power and the force of the sea. But it now comes to my consideration and the realization that nothing could be more true. That considering the fact that the world is very, very old, and the universe is very, very old, and the earth is very, very old, nothing could be more likely, okay? There's somebody else living at the bottom of the sea. And the way that this guy talked about it is that he said that they actually showed him and the entire crew, right, whoever went out there, what the deal was. And he said that every major country that has, technology to go underwater at very, very low, at very, very deep, kind of down deep, all right, that they know. They have an understanding that nobody's going to be talking about this out in public right now because it would just bring chaos. Well, I can believe that. But, even if it's just a whole bunch of bunk and nothing, there's nobody that can deny the fact, all right, that this planet Earth hasn't been here for a long time before us. And we don't hardly know anything. But the guy said on there that Mars is just a lifeboat. And the bottom line is that we better be of the right kind of spirit and attitude that we can join forces with the creatures at the bottom of the ocean. Not fight them. So, of course, this might be a very fanciful kind of imagination, and you could probably make a Disney cartoon about it. But nevertheless, it doesn't make it any less of a possibility of exact bottom line truth. And so, I just think that for some reason that my granddaughter Arden might be in a position in her lifetime, and she might be fighting for the truth. And the truth is that we have to be friends to the deep. We gotta climb every mountain and be friends with the deep. And this is, of course, a good metaphor for life and reality. I'm just calling this one life and reality and stopping it now.